Okay, I am making this video. I had a friend on Facebook who passed away last Saturday night on my next younger brother John's 53rd birthday. And she was somebody that was very polarizing. I mean, there's people on who hated her and loved her. And so anyway, they can't even agree with how she died. There's some people that say she died of a drug overdose and used drugs and alcohol a lot. And so they're saying she OD'd. But there are other people that say that no, she died from a stroke. It's like, oh my gosh, they can't even agree on how she died. So it's like, wow. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, she caused a lot of controversy. But anyway, she was a friend of mine on Facebook. I never met her in person, and her name was Shelly Lubben, and so anyway, she had a definitely interesting life. She was, she had been a prostitute for a while, been a stripper, she was a porn star for a while, and then she'd come to Christ and been a born-again Christian and got a theology degree and got a doctorate in, I think it was theology. And so she'd go to churches and talk about God and talk about, different things. So anyway, she had a group, a ministry that was an outreach to people in the porn industry, and was able to get quite a few people out of it, quite a few women and men out of the porn industry because of her witness and testimony. But a lot of people have said that, everything went to her head and she became this terrible person. Okay, so who do you believe? That is a good question. Depending on who you believe, who you ask, depending on who you ask, Shelly Lubben was either a awesome and wonderful person, or she was a horrible person. Okay, so it's like, wow, some friends say she was an awesome person. I don't know how well they knew her, how close they were to her. I have no idea. So I don't know if they are telling the truth, or people on the other side of the issue who say she was a horrible person. If they're telling the truth, I do not know. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. I do know that, she's gone, and either, man, it's hard to believe. Hard to believe that she's gone. She was either think she was born in 1968, which would make her younger than both of my two younger brothers, and myself. It's hard to believe she's gone already at that age, such a young age. It's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, she started the group Pink Cross. That was the outreach to people in the porn industry. So, and it's still going without her. I'm trying to remember. I think she kind of got kicked out of the group. I don't know if they're leaving the group, how much of that was her fault, and that's how much other people wanted to just take it away from her because they just didn't want her to have it or not. I don't know. I don't know whose fault that was when she left. She says she was burned out from it. She was burned out when she was taking a step away from it, and then I think maybe she might have been coming back at some time. I don't know if that was ever true or not. There's a lot of things. Yeah, anyway. So anyway. You can see it's Diet Dr. Pepper, not the lettered kind, diet, okay. Want to prove to anyone who's like, what are you drinking pop for? Why are you drinking pop? Well, it's diet pop, okay, and I've got water here, a lot of water to drink. But anyway, yeah. It's, the Bible talks about not judging others. So, I just have to leave it up to God to who knows more than I do if she was a wonderful person or if she's a terrible person. Gotta leave it up to Him. Can't judge her either way. We shouldn't judge other people either way, good or bad. Oh, excuse me. It's just, yeah, the Bible does say judge or lest ye be judged yourself. So, being the final judge is not my job or anybody else's job. Only God can judge them, not me, not anybody else, only God. Let's see, what else do I have to say? With my lymphoma, the last time I saw my doctor was it had gotten so much smaller and was almost, to the point where you couldn't even see it on the PET scan. The last PET scan I had between the second and third round of chemotherapy, and then I'm on my fourth, and I have one left to go. Out of 4, I've done 3 of them. So anyway, and that's next Tuesday. So if you could pray that I get through that one fine and not have any more side effects, Yeah, well, this is the worst one. This is almost the only side effect I've had so far. And pray that I don't have any more bad side effects. chemotherapy. Anyway, but yeah, kind of stinks having lost a lot of hair. But as you can see, I'm still here in Lisbon and still with going through chemotherapy and taking chemotherapy meds and everything. But hopefully it'll be over with that soon. When I'm done with the chemotherapy, I have 1 more month of there's one of my chemotherapy meds I take for 1 month after I'm done with it. And then I am done completely. And then I am out of here. I am gone. Oh, putting that. Anyway, the front door, the door to my room is that way. But anyway, I will be out of here when that happens. When I'm done taking that medication a month after I'm done with chemo, I'm gone. So anyway, that could be in 2 months. That could be, I don't know. That could be in a month. You know, my doctor, I am going to get a PET scan scheduled for first week of March, or well, the first week of March, or well, it could be the last week of February. Well, before I have my 5th round of chemo. So anyway, I could, the doctor could look at my PET scan. I go, I don't see any more cancer. You're done with the chemo. Then 1 month after that, then gone. I'm taking that med for 1 more month, and I'm out of here. So anyway, like I said before, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I could be out of here in a little over a month, and maybe not. I don't know. So that's still up in the air. Anyway, or the doctor could not see any cancer and say, well, we'll give you 2 more rounds of chemotherapy just to make sure it's gone. Okay. You know, but so far it's like the anti-nausea medication has worked. I've been a little queasy 1 time. That's it. 1 time. So that has worked great. And so other side effects, I think maybe I'm a little bit more tired than I would be because of that. But some nights I'm so tired I go to bed before 10, 9 even. You know, yeah. So I think that might be some of the side effects. Then it might be some of the not working out and not getting enough exercise too. That could be my fault. Okay. And peel this orange and eat that. Talking. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, when it comes to fighting cancer, I don't know what it was like to suffer a lot of side effects, because there are people who are recovering from their chemotherapy from the end of 1 cycle to the beginning of their next. Okay, they begin their next cycle when they're well enough to do it. What that is like, I have no idea, because that's never been my situation. praise God, I've never, the medication that they've given me to fight the bad side effects has worked great. Unfortunately, they don't have a medication so you don't lose your hair. Because if they did, I would have wanted it. So yeah, but anyway, if you go to my Facebook profile, you can see me with hair and me without hair. And I love the me with hair. You know. So anyway, but after the chemo's over with, in 6 months to a year, I should have all my hair back and should look the same. I might look the same before I had my chemo. I had my cancer. So anyway, yeah, but I don't know. It's just losing your hair is just something you got to deal with. When you're having when you got cancer, it's like you just gotta go. Well, okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, and then when you're fighting cancer, you just gotta accept things the way they are. You can't. You can fight to make things better, but there's just some things like losing your hair that that's the way it is. You gotta accept it, and say, okay, I'm done with the chemo, and in less than a year later, it's gonna be back to normal, and I'll be fine. I'll be cancer free, and my hair is back to normal. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be better. Who knows? But anyway, yeah. Yeah, let me tell you, fighting cancer is not easy, folks. My advice on fighting cancer, having a stroke, and trying to recover from that is don't. But I'm just joking, but seriously. My advice for after a stroke or cancer is don't. Yes, I am joking. But what's my serious advice for having a stroke, after you've had a stroke or have a cancer, is give it to God. Put it in His hands and trust in Him. Whatever happens, happens. Because it could be a lot worse. Believe me, it could be a lot worse. I've got a friend on my Lymphoma Cancer group on Facebook who's got a daughter who's like, I think she's like 8 or 9, maybe younger. So anyway, she was the typical child, running all over the place, just doing little girl things and living life and having fun and just being a little girl. And all of a sudden, they took her to the hospital, or can't remember how she was, but anyway, she was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer around her spine. And so anyway, they did surgery, but they could not take all of it. The cancer was around her spine so much and in such places that if they tried to take it, it would kill her. It would have killed her. And so they had to leave it. And so anyway, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it just got to the point where the doctors told her parents, her family and friends, and they said she's got 3 weeks to live, and that's it. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I cannot imagine what it would be like to have a doctor tell you your daughter has 3 weeks to live, and that's it. I mean, it'd be better if they told me I had 3 weeks to live, better than my own daughter, But anyway, so that's what they did. All right. So anyway, there was like nothing they could do. They couldn't give her chemo, they couldn't give her radiation. Either one of them would have killed her, is what they said. Okay. And so they had so many friends on Facebook in the group, the lymphoma group, and just got the story out about her. And they got the story out so much that there's somebody in New Zealand who had a child that was, or somebody, they knew somebody that had used some kind of alternative, therapy and medication, or therapies and medication for treating lymphoma. And the person survived and is alive today because of that. And so anyway, they heard about that girl, and they got in touch with her mom, and they told her how they did it and stuff. And anyway, that girl's family somebody went and got the alternative therapies and gave it to her, and I think one is like a mat that you lay on or something to help the body heal itself or something. So anyway, they did that, and they used some of the other ones that they heard about, and they got her to the point of being able to handle chemotherapy. And so they gave her the chemotherapy, and she has just done so much better. Way better than she did the 3 months ago when they told her that she had 3 weeks to live. I mean, it was 3 months ago they told her she had 3 weeks to live. 3 months, and she's still hanging on. And so anyway, I think she's going through her second round of chemotherapy. And so, and her cancer's really gotten smaller, a lot smaller too, around her spine. And so, it's like, okay, So anyway, yeah. So she's not out of the woods yet, but she's getting closer to being out of the woods and being cured from cancer. I mean, that's all you can hope and pray for, you know? It's like, she's literally got people around the world praying for her. And I probably have people around the world praying for me too in my situation. So it's like, you know, you just gotta praise God and thank God and keep praying and go, okay, Lord, whatever happens, happens, you know, but I'm praying that you'll heal me. I'm praying that things will get better for me. Yeah, so that I'll beat this and live several more years. So anyway, yeah. But anyway, today is Valentine's Day, and there's a lot of places I'd rather be than here, but you know, I was in the hospital on my birthday. I was in the hospital on Thanksgiving Day. So it's like, oh man. Thankfully, I wasn't in the hospital on Christmas. You know, I got out of the hospital on Christmas Day. The VA hospital. Got out of the hospital on Christmas Day. Literally, I'm not kidding. It was literally Christmas Day when I got out of there. Okay. So that's kind of a good Christmas present to get out of the hospital on Christmas Day, you know. Anyway, yeah, so, anyway, banana, yes or no? Yeah, I could eat this at the same, before I'm done with this video, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. If anyone watching this knows if bananas and oranges, if they're either one or both are really good for fighting cancer or for diabetics, let me know in the comments. I'd like to know absolutely for sure if it is or not. Yeah, the door behind, the door behind me here is to the bathroom, not to go outside. So, yeah, anyway. So, but, what else? So anyway, today's Valentine's Day. I wish I was able to be with my sweetheart, but she's in Arizona. I'm in North Dakota. Haven't seen her for over a year. But yeah. Anyway, that would be nice to be with her. But in which case I'd probably give her a call. Wish her a happy Valentine's Day. Can't exactly get a card for a Valentine's Day card when I'm here. I could when I'm in Fargo, but yeah. Well, when I take the bus from Lisbon to Fargo, which, you know, it's been like three weeks. It's been over 3 weeks since I've ridden the bus on Thursday to Fargo to go West Acres or Walmart or wherever. So anyway, Haven't had the chance to, yeah, I'll see my NSU National Championship t-shirt that I got at the game, National Championship game that I went to. Anyway. All done. Anyway. I don't know. Things might be different with my sweetheart too. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. Let's see. But anyway, one more chemotherapy for my 4th round, and then I have my PET scan, and then I had the 2, main cancer doctor and his assistant. We'll look at that and decide if I should have round 5 and 6, or if you're done. Go ring that bell, and yeah. Well, okay. The bell is when you are done with chemotherapy. Up to that. I mean, when you are done, when they say you don't have to take any more chemotherapy, when you're with that battle of cancer, then you can go ring a bell in infusion. And so, unless the cancer comes back and then you have to go through more chemotherapy, then you could ring the bell again after you're done with that. That one's done. But yeah, I mean, if they say I'm done with this chemotherapy for this round of fighting cancer, then that will be awesome. You'd be like, praise God, thank you, Lord. So anyway, yeah. But the doctor could say, what he's gonna say, I have no idea. Okay. If some of you know that if the first time they see a PET scan or a CAT scan without any obvious cancer on it, that they can't see any, does that mean that's it? I'm done with the chemotherapy or not? If you know for sure because you've gone through this and you had an X-ray, you had a CAT scan or a PET scan, they couldn't see any cancer, the doctor said you're done with the chemo or not. Let me know in the comments, please. I want to know what actually, I want to learn more about what's closer to the truth and not knowing either way. So anyway, yeah. But anyway, I've just gotten, oh my gosh, I don't know how many cards. It's like card after card after card of, it'd show you millions of cards that people have made and kids have written and then made, and oh my gosh. Here everybody gets a lot of Valentine's Day cards from different groups for veterans. It's like, oh my gosh. But that's okay. I'm not complaining. That's okay with me. That's fine. We can get a million of them. That's fine. That's okay. I'll take that. That's fine. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So, but anyway, my last piece of advice is when you're going through a lot of adversity, when you're going through a lot of crappy times, a lot of hard times, put your faith and trust in God to get you through that. Okay? Without Him, I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be here. He got me through having a stroke, and not only did I survive a stroke, but I did not know I had had a stroke until a week after I had it. A week. It was a week after I had the stroke when they finally figured out that I was a stroke that I'd had. Okay. A whole week after I had it. That's when I found out I had a stroke. I mean, that could have, my life could have ended in that week, you know. I could have had a second one. Boom, that's it, done. Over, through, fini, you know. Yeah, so anyway, I mean, and then just to think about where I was from after my stroke. The first week after I found out that I had a stroke, I was on the 3rd floor at the VA hospital in Fargo. And to walk 10 feet from my bed to the bathroom, to go to the bathroom, I had to have a nurse. And I had to have a walker to do that. Okay? To walk 10 feet. I could not even walk 10 feet without a nurse and a walker. Okay? That is where it started from. And to see me walking now, you would never know that I had a stroke 2 years ago. You would never know that. You might go, I mean, maybe walk a little bit different than most people do, but then you just, well, he walks a little different. Okay, no big deal. You know, we probably always walk that way. No. You know, I had a stroke 2 years ago, and so I worked as hard as I could in physical therapy. I am not kidding. I did. Man, I did not. I mean, I worked harder than I had ever worked in my life in physical therapy. That is no lie. That is no lie. I'm not kidding. I can't say that now, but I could then when I was going through physical therapy. You know, to go from having somebody, you know, when I'd go down there, when I'd go down to physical therapy, somebody had to wheel me, I had a volunteer wheel me down there every day for a couple weeks. And then I got to the point where I could wheel myself down, you know, in a wheelchair. So it's like, okay, getting better. So then I got to a point where I had a walker, you know, a little walker that had wheels under the first two front wheels, you know, first two things had wheels under them, and the back two did not. And that's where they put the tennis balls to slide across the floor. And so anyway, I think I was, yeah, by the time I was only using a walker, I was down on the second floor at CLC, Community Living Center. But actually was in the old rooms, not the, you know, they've actually added on to it and remodeled a lot of that. And the room I was in had a roommate, and it is now an office, a storage. I think it's an office, a storage office, a storage room, or a waiting room. You know, for, you know, kind of part of, you know, still a part of CLC, but it's different. It doesn't have any people in it. It doesn't have any room beds in there anymore. So anyway, that was my first room I was in. So anyway, I was there, and I had to have a walker to you know, when I went down to physical therapy, I had to have a walker to do that. And so I kept working at my physical therapy, and got to the point where I didn't really need the walker, but they said, well, you gotta have it anyway, just in case, you know, you gotta have it anyway, use it anyway. Okay, fine. So most of the time I just carried it with me, wasn't using it, was just walking on my own without using the walker. And then I got to the point where they were like, oh, you don't need to use it, you know, you just go down there on your own. But yeah, but that was after, I think, let's see, how many weeks was, oh man, I'm trying to think how many weeks it was when I could just walk on my own. Yeah. But I think that might be, oh man, I think maybe that was halfway, the time I was halfway through my time at the CLC. I think that might be it, I'm not sure. But anyway, or maybe a little after that. But anyway, I mean, I got to the point where it was like my walking was almost totally back to normal. Now, but anyway, yeah. I even had a guy in a wheelchair and said, why are you here? What are you doing here? Why are you? You know, he was upset. He was mad. You know, he was ticked off. You know, that I was there and I could walk around and he still was in a wheelchair. And it's like, well, look, dude, I worked my butt off to get to where I am. To get to where I am, to get to where I was at that time, I had to work extremely hard to do that. Okay. So if you want to get to that place, if you go down to physical therapy, you got to work hard every single day. And if you're dealing with a stroke, maybe you had it in a bad place, and maybe you didn't. I mean, if you had it in a bad place, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can or anyone else can do that can change that. It's kind of your situation. You're kind of crap out of luck, okay? But I think 95% of the people that have strokes they're still in wheelchairs, it's because they gave up. They threw up their hands. They said, forget it. I'm not going to work hard at physical therapy. It's not going to help. No, it is going to help. It is absolutely. If you work hard at it, it is going to help. You are going to be able to get out of the wheelchair and walk like almost nothing ever happened to you. If you do that, if you work hard at it, you can do it. It might take you longer than it did me, and it might be harder, but you can get there. Believe me, you can get there. You gotta have trust. You gotta have faith in the physical therapist that are having you do stuff that that is going to get you there. You gotta trust in them. You gotta trust in them and the Lord that you can do it. You know, if I didn't do that, I'd be in a wheelchair. I'd be over in advanced, or I wouldn't be in basic. You know, I'm in basic here, to where they just, the basic care, that's it. That's all I get. You know, I mean, to be over in the other section, there are people that get taken care, you know, they get everything taken care of for them. But it costs them a lot more than it does me to be here. Okay? So anyway, see, we're not about half done. But anyway, yeah. You know, sometimes a stroke, every stroke is different. Every stroke is different from the next one. Even if the same person has another one, it's totally different. It's going to be different. The recovery is going to be different. Who's had it? Well, unless you have the same person have more than one, but almost every time the person who has a stroke is different. Well, yeah, you're kind of different when you have a second stroke because your life is different. You know, when you have a stroke, your life is never going to be the same. Never. The life you knew before you had the stroke is over. Okay, it's over. You got a different life after you have a stroke. Okay, my life, there's no way my life is back to normal the way it was before I had a stroke. It's not. It will never be that way, ever. Even without the cancer, my life would have never been the same as it was before I had the stroke. That is the way it is. I'm sorry. That is the way it is. You know, that's what happens when you have a stroke. So anyway, it is up to you and God to decide, and where your stroke was, to decide how much of your old life you're going to get back, you know, for your new life to go on from your stroke. Okay? It's up to you to decide, for the most part. You know, if you want to get back a lot of your old life, you can do it. Well, depends on where you had the stroke too, but I think 95% of the people that have a stroke, that's the way it is. That is exactly the way it is. You have almost 100% control on what happened, how much of your old life you get back. If you can't walk, you work hard at physical therapy, and you get back the ability to do that again. It's up to you. 95% of the people that have a stroke, it's up to, if their stroke took away their ability to be able to walk, It's up to you to decide that you can do it. If you work hard at physical therapy, you can do it. It might take a while, but if you keep going, you can do it. You can do it. You can get back the ability to walk again and walk like nothing ever happened. You know, I mean, that's absolutely the truth, okay? Take it from someone who's had a stroke. Take it from somebody who could not walk on their own. Okay. Take it from somebody who was in a wheelchair, who had to sit in a wheelchair for a while before I was able to just use the walker, and that was it. You know, yeah, because that's where I was at, folks. That's where I was at. Like I said before, yeah. I mean, when I first, even when I was, for a while, when I was first on the second floor at CLC, you know, I had a mat underneath me that if I got up, it would go off. It was an alarm. If I got up, it would, you know, my butt was off the mat. It would be, oh, jeez. You know, the alarm would go off. It's like, oh, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So eventually I got to the point where they're like, okay, we're taking away the mat. You can get up. That's, you know, they could see that I could get up and not fall over. But there's some people that are that way. That's why they have the mat there. You know, they have the mat there because if they tried to get up, stand up, they'd fall over. And they're like, to have a nurse come and have them sit down again. So, but yeah, eventually I got to the point where I didn't need it. So they're like, okay, we're gonna take this away. You don't need it. You can do that on your own. You know, they could see that I could do it on my own before they did that, though. But yeah. And then they saw me go through the steps of, you know, of when I only needed a walker, and when I, you know, got to the point where I was like, okay, you don't need a walker anymore. You can walk down, you know, you can just take it because you might fall, you might need it. And then I finally got to the point where I could walk on my own, and they saw me getting better, and they're like, well, okay, you don't need the walker anymore. You just walk down on your own. That's okay. You know, they saw me progressing, and they adjusted accordingly. They adjusted, you know, how they dealt with me accordingly. So anyway, oh boy, maybe I should get to bed. Anyway, it's almost 9 o'clock here. Maybe I should wait and keep talking until shit finishes off. Maybe I shouldn't. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, man, yeah. What else should I say? Anyway, yeah, my life has not exactly been easy, but I know there are people who have gone through a lot worse than I have, a lot worse, and for some of them, it's like they brought almost all of that on themselves. They brought all of that crap they've gone through in their life on themselves. And there are other people that have just done nothing to deserve that. And yet, you know, they're being tested continually. You know, some of the people, I was thinking about this lately, okay, some of the people like that have done nothing to deserve that, are the people that have the deepest faith or the biggest amount of faith of anybody. Okay, they've got more faith than anybody walking the earth today, and God is allowing them to be tested to see how much faith they do have. Okay, so I mean, but then again, there are other people that go through almost nothing. They go through nothing when it comes to adversity. Okay. It's like their life has been smooth sailing almost the whole time. And the reason why that is true, is their faith is so weak that if they go through, more adversity than just a small amount, they're going to totally lose their faith. They're going to totally blow it. I don't believe in God anymore or something. They're just, they have even just a moderate amount of adversity and they would run away from God and quit believing in God and Jesus as fast as they can because of that. Because they have no faith. Because they have almost no faith, I shouldn't say. No faith. But the people that say that, one person that worked with Shelly said that, she said, well, if you had, this lady was really another friend of mine on Facebook who worked with her, said, she's going through some hard times. She didn't have any money, and Shelly said, well, if you had as much faith as I do, then you'd be a lot better off. Things would be going great. And it's like, I'm like, wait a minute. That's not true. That's not true at all. Okay? It's not. Because God does not reward you based upon how much faith or how much faith you have or don't have. Okay? God doesn't base you on, if you go through adversity and you pass the test and, you keep your faith in God, keep your faith in Him. When you go through adversity, God doesn't I don't believe that God gives you a lot more, rewards you a lot more because of that. I mean, maybe in heaven you get rewarded for that. Maybe that's why God allows you to be tested. I mean, if you pass the test, you go through a lot of adversity, maybe in heaven's when you get the reward for it. I don't know. talks about the crown of righteousness. That in heaven I mean, some people will get that for their faith. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. But anyway, and I don't believe that God punishes you if you fail a test. If God allows you to go through some adversity and you fail, I don't believe God punishes you for that. I don't believe God rewards you for it, or God punishes you for, God gives you a reward for passing the test, or God punishes you for failing the test. I don't believe that happens. I could be wrong. Oh, well, okay. Sorry God if I'm wrong. But, you just gotta put your faith and trust in God for everything. And, I think I'm going to tell a story about one time I went through a lot of adversity when I was in the Navy one time. Well, not one time. One specific time I was going through a lot of adversity in my Navy career. And so, anyway, okay, anyway, to get back to my story. Anyway, I was going through a lot of adversity. This is like a long time ago. Okay, this is like almost 30 years ago. Okay, literally. Yeah. It was like 1992, 91, 92, 93 maybe. Yeah, so anyway, about 25, 26 years ago. Anyway, so I was going through a lot of adversity, and I was just like walking along, praying like, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know what I'm going to do to get through this. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like, Lord, help me. And that is when God put the thought in my mind. 2 words. God said, bitter or better. And whenever we go through adversity in our lives, okay, those are the 2 choices. Those are the which choice we're going to make. Okay. Bitter or better. We can choose when we go through any adversity in life to allow that to make us upset and ticked off and bitter, or bitter, or can put our faith in God to do the thing, work in our lives to make us better. Okay. And, think about this. Think about this. bitter or better? How many letters are different between the two words? One letter. An I or an E. Okay? An I or an E. But you know what? There's one letter, but a whole world of difference in which one you choose. Because if you choose bitter, okay, you're going to start here and things are going to go slowly. You're going to go slowly. Things are going to get worse and worse and worse. And yeah. Things are going to get, things. I mean, I know in my life, after I've gotten mad or upset about things, and something else goes wrong, and, maybe I don't believe that's God punishing me, but yeah, but things are just little things have gotten, went wrong after that, and more things went bad too. It's like, doggone. So anyway, but then when you choose to get better, you start up and things start to get better and things start to, and yeah, like I said before, I don't think that's God rewarding you either. Maybe it is, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'll have to ask God personally when I die and go to heaven. Say, Lord, did you allow things to get better when I did that? Was that you? Anyway. So anyway, that's my advice when it comes to going through a lot of adversity. Put your faith and trust in God. Put your faith and trust in Him that you're gonna make it. I mean, how many people do you know that had a stroke? 2 years later, they've got lymphoma cancer. How many people do you know besides me? Or it had one tragic event, they survived that. Then 2 years later, they have another tragic event. How many people do you know that do that? Not many. There's very few people that, that ever happens to. But, so anyway. Almost gone. Anyway, yeah. I've put my faith and trust in God with this lymphoma, and whatever happens, happens. If I die, I'm walking on the streets of gold with God and with Jesus, with all my relatives who died and gone to heaven too, or I survive, I'm with my family and friends, I'm with the people who love me, who want me to be around for a few years, a few more, maybe hopefully a couple more years at least. But either way, when you put your faith and trust in God, you have your faith in Him, have your faith in Him, you don't lose either way. You win. Yep. You win either way. You die in there with God. If you have Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you die in here with Him. You survive. You're with your family and friends who love you and who would miss you if you did die. And so you can enjoy them for several more years. Possibly several more years after you survive cancer. But yeah, that's what you, I don't know. that is what you need to do. If you ever have cancer or have a stroke or have a major health issue in your life, you just gotta put it in God's hands. Say, Lord, I'm trusting in you. Whatever happens, happens. Don't fight the battle yourself. Do not. If you try to fight the battle yourself, either way you're going to lose. But if you put your faith and trust in God, you're going to win either way. You're going to win no matter what happens. You die, you're in heaven with God. But if you survive, you're with your family.